Seeing a lot of employers using staffing companies as their preferred choice for hiring these days? Or are you a long-term temporary employee and wondering how that increases or decreases your chances of full-time employment? Never fear, the career engineer is here to share some boosters and pitfalls involved with a temp or not to temp job hunting strategy. Here are some TCE points to help make your Monday mornings better. And you know, sometimes people look at this temp stuff as the last resort. So what's the real deal?
Well, you know, the real question, to temp or not to temp? That is the question. So there's some good things about it, and there's some pitfalls you want to avoid. So one of the biggest one to start off is, you know, the employers are trying you before they buy you. And that's why you're seeing a lot of them being used now for getting staff. And that's okay, because they can try you in 90 days, and you can also check them out.
Exactly.
It might not be the right place.
Ways.
It goes both ways. So that's, but the key is you have to have, if you're going to use a staffing firm or a temporary firm, you got to have a plan, have a strategy. So if you don't mind, try before you buy, it will work for you. But like I said, if you don't like it, you can also leave too.
Right.
So it works that way.
It's not that big commitment up front.
Right. And you're actually, remember, you're on the payroll of the staffing company. So, so try before you buy is not a bad strategy, but just use it smart.
Right. And sometimes these staffing companies, it's not necessarily a temp job. Sometimes it is straight to hire.
That's right. It's called direct to hire, and those are the grand ones. That's if you have the skill sets where a company is actually going to pay the staffing company this, you know, a higher rate to try you in 90 days against a 90-day window.
Okay.
If you do a great job, you have an FTE, a full-time employment opportunity coming afterwards, and that's usually for your, you know, degree management, or a company who really wants to find that right candidate. So that's not a bad deal either. It's actually one that I often even coach some of my clients. If you find some direct hire that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when you do this, you're going to have this salary with that company with these terms and conditions. That's a good deal. That's not a bad deal.
And you know, you're talking about how, you know, you're kind of getting a test run, a test drive, you could say. But there are lots of temporary assignments out there.
There is. So one thing I want folks to think about, like, let's say you are someone that's, hey, you've been doing this assignment, that, you know, how am I going to put that on my resume? How's that going to make me shine? Have a plan, have a strategy. Remember, you're not working, you're working for the staffing company. Don't focus so much on all these assignments. If you worked for Manpower, you worked for Apple One, you've been with them 2 years. Think of just, that's your employer, but also on your resume, just make sure you're shining the different skill sets you've learned. So don't get so focused on the many assignments. You are employed by that one company. That's your employer. That's how you should represent that on your resume and your branding.
Now, if you are someone that is trying to find something a little more permanent, but you need to go the temporary route, you know, what do they need to be aware of?
Please don't. I tell you, here's one big pitfall. This is what happens. I mean, you know, let's say you get that, you think it's a direct hire. You know they're going to try before you buy. They say 90 days, and next thing you know, it's 180 days. Next thing you know, it's a year, and you're still temporary. Got to be careful of that. That has happened. I have met one temporary employee that was actually temporary for 5 years. That's never a good idea. If you were supposed to be direct hire, you're going to make sure they follow through and do what they have to do. So please beware of that. Read the fine print and make sure you're not a temporary person for a year when you're supposed to have been direct hired after 90 days.
But otherwise, a temporary position could turn into something really good.
It can be, particularly if you're reentering the workforce, been out for a while, you're new to an area, military families. Hey, it's a great idea. You're moving everywhere. You're still working for the same employer. So it can be a great deal. Just make sure you have the right strategy and make it happen.
All right. Well, always giving us some good advice and good ideas. The career engineer, Francina Harrison. You can find her at tcenow.com, email info@tcenow.com, or give her a call at 745-4TCE. Thanks for being here.
No problem.